Hello and welcome to yet another Dota 2 replay. We're back at high elo once again. I do believe the only top tier pro in this game is Thompson. I think it's around 7.6k or something like that. 7, 8, somewhere around there. So, looks like we have Invoker into Necrophos for the mid lane, Slark Bane into Sanking Lina in the bottom lane, and Enchantress Chaos Knight into Tiny Brewmaster in the top lane. Now, initial thoughts on this game? I'm not sure how much I rate Chaos Knight as a hero at the moment, and it doesn't look like a great CK game to me. I feel like Brew and Slark don't really die to it. Maybe Invoker Bane definitely do die to the Phantasm combo. Tiny, I don't know. Looks like something may be happening down bottom. Let's get on free camera and have a look. Three from the Dire are here, both supports and the sinking, and looks like he does skill the Burrow Strike. A little bit of lag, having a lot of lag recently in these, but oh well. Nothing will come of it. Hopefully he doesn't regret the Burrow Strike. Certainly they do secure an even split of bounty runes. And the Tiny just getting some harassing onto the Chaos Knight. Now, I don't know much about this mid matchup. I would assume Necro won't really die, but it's possible maybe he gets caught in a combo. He gets worked down and caught in a combo. I assume he would be. He's unlikely to die in this matchup. Whereas I think the Invoker is certainly more at risk, especially around the 6 timing, but also I'm not too afraid because obviously he has the regen from the Quas and so on and so forth. The bottom lane seems like just general trading back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Doesn't seem like the lane is particularly in favour of anyone yet. Both supports are pretty strong in lane, both dominate quite well. Slark, even if he is under tower, will get harassed pretty hard. Lina has a huge attack range, monumental, practically a sniper. So it's always a pain. However, the Bane just does a lot of damage and then brain saps straight back up, so he's also very effective at trading. And I don't think the Sanking and the Slark really care about each other at all. Certainly, once the Slark hits 6, he simply won't die. Burrow Strike onto the Bane might bring him down. Nice light strike array, one more right click, but the Fairy Fire will keep him alive. There was a death up top. I believe it was the Tiny who died. Let me double check. No, it was the Brewmaster. Brewmaster went down. I didn't see how. I was halfway through a thought, so I didn't bother talking about it. But it looks like the Avatos combo with the slow might just bring him down. Will he tick out to the burn from Cinderbrew or the Sunstrike? Sunstrike, precise sniping from the center of the map. That's quite hard to do with level 2. It's quite a lot of damage actually. I thought it was slightly less than it is, but it is quite a lot of damage. But Enchantress diving deep for this courier, and she will pick it up. So absolutely worth it. That's, if she survives, it's definitely worth it. But perhaps feeding another Sunstrike kill to the Invoker makes it a little less. I'd be worried about this Invoker getting farm, partially because it's Thompson, and he's an absolute monster, and partially because just the damage and the control that comes out of the Invoker in the mid game will be quite terrifying to deal with. And if he does go Orchid and gets fast Orchid, it will be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. And every single person on the Dire, perhaps with the exception of Chaos Knight, but even then, they all really need their spells to be functional and to have any. They don't really exist without their spells. So a fast Orchid would be quite effective. But it remains to be seen if he does go for that build or not. Meanwhile, looking at the last hits, it seems like for the Dire, the offlane and the mid are going quite well, but the safe lane's having a very hard time, which is not hugely surprising. They have, however, gotten a kill, but then they kind of got harassed pretty hard on the level 2 power spike. Does seem like the Invoker has been killed. I didn't see it. Whoopsie. And that's a pretty big wave being pushed into the tower, so that'll be a fair amount of damage. Putting pressure on that mid tower really early and taking it is always very important. It opens Roshan up as an objective, it's just quite handy. Tiny went down top. I'm a little slow in the brain today, it seems. That happened ages ago. But yeah, Tiny feeding once again. I'm not quite sure. I think Chaos Knight's now pretty much recovered, but the 3 cores of the Radiant aren't doing too badly. Hopefully that yawn wasn't picked up. Here's hoping. Enchantress has picked up the wonderful Ghost Creep, which is a massive pain. One of the best early game creeps, has basically a free eye of Skadi. And enchant plus that, you just have no move speed at all. Reduces them down to 100 move speed, but Avatos with Cinderbrew and Enchantress is, you know, it's a magic trick, she just disappears. No Drunken Brawler, however, which would be quite handy to deal with this Chaos Knight. Looks like they're looking for another Avatos combo, and Chaos Knight is dead. Very nice from the Brew to just play right on the edge of what he's allowed to do and sort of bait the Chaos Knight back in there for the Tiny to just sort of step up and give him a bit of a throw. Lena seems like she rotated in mid. Perhaps it was around the rune timings. I didn't quite check. Would be nice. Attempt to meteor the wave is met with a glyph, which is very effective as just loads of chip damage into the tower. Might be falling before the 8-minute mark here, which would be quite something and really would open up the map for this Necrophos. Tiny once again dying top. It seems to be a pattern now. Tiny dies, they get a double kill on the CK and the Enchantress. Rinse and repeat. Sanking starting to out-efficiency the Slark quite significantly now, but Slark will very soon have level 6, and that's where his game really begins, because it becomes significantly harder to kill him. You see the 3 points in Dark Pact, giving him a fair amount of jungle efficiency. And now he has Shadow Dance, which allows him to use Dark Pact a lot more as a farming tool, whereas previously the health cost makes it a little prohibitive. Has the Dark Pact, purges off the Burrow Strike, very well timed. LSA doesn't quite hit the mark. I am perhaps far too tired to be casting this, but you know what? I needed to do a bunch. Try and stack up a few recordings. taking a slightly different approach this time, as opposed to before. I was sort of just doing them and uploading them. I'm just gonna do a bunch when I'm in the mood to do them, and then upload them over a little bit. Bane getting caught up by the Burrow Strike actually manages to win the trade and bring the sinking low. Who hasn't skilled Epicenter yet, wants the extra points in his other skills, as Epi isn't really useful yet at this point in this game. Requires a bunch of things he doesn't have. Avalanche toss into the Sunstrike with Meatball comes in, but it's not quite enough, and the Reaper Scythe will go down onto the Invoker and bring him up. Tiny stopped by the Tiny stopped by the Burrow Strike from the Sand King, not the Sorrow Strike from the Band King. And is added to the death toll with that mid tower. It's just gone. It's gonna fall, no question. That's a 9-minute, so not before the 8-minute mark. So you know, there's some. It's okay. It's not good at all, but you know what? Necro now doubling the Invoker's CS. But it looks like the Chaos Knight might have just died again. Phantasm is committed, but all the illusions are very low HP. Tiny looking, probably trying to just juke until his cooldowns are up. And the Nightmare will allow that time to be found, and a quick double kill. Still not sure. The Invoker is going a Midas and has built a drum. I was wondering what that crown was being built into. Or rather, he's abandoned the idea of Midas and is now going drum and then Ags for a more active build, which is I like that a lot more. I think if you play an AFK Invoker, it becomes quite hard because you have a Slark who is sort of in the recovery stage and is going for a Midas himself. And yes, you're not a Quas Wex Invoker, but you made that decision at the start of the game, probably with the hopes that the Slark would come online, win lane, and you know, have that fast whatever it is item, and be able to fight in the mid game where you kind of pay off with the greed and then just help by throwing spells and not really needing the items but so much. But if you are going to now have to be more of a space maker, which is probably the Invoker's role now, as the Slark needs the space to recover, and the Slark is almost certainly the win condition here. It tends to be the hard carry. I certainly feel like he outcarries the Terrorblade. Not the Terrorblade, Jesus, got Terrorblade on the mind. No, the Chaos Knight. And matches up reasonably well into most of them, and he'll build the Silver Edge for the Enchantress. He likes hitting tanky boys, and they have a few tanky boys. Whereas Invoker, his damage kind of falls off as he, if his combos can't burst someone, they're helpful, but they're not game carrying, as it were. You need that extra source of sustained damage, which is going to be the Slark in this game. Brew, it does do damage, but it's not really sustained in the same sense. Another glyph for the Meatball, which is just tilting at this point. I'm getting tilted just watching this glyph constantly stop the Meatball being effective. And we do see Vlad's first on the Brewmaster, which is interesting. But no Primal Split, but Fiend's Grip onto the SK. Reaper's Scythe goes onto the Tiny. Shadow Dance is forced. Necro is slept up. Lina kills the Slark on the backlines with the Laguna Blade, and the Brew will go down with a nice LSA standing him up before he goes down. Overall, that was not very good for the Radiant. Necro goes Yules first. I'm not completely clear why, to be honest. I don't see too much stuff that really gets I mean, maybe you can use dodge the invoker combos, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot to purge this game. So I don't fully understand it. The mana regen's nice, and he's following it up with the Radiance. So Radiance is nice for sure. It's farming item, fighting item, if you're a tanky core already. Just adds some overall damage, and the miss chance is pretty nice. But I would expect the Sark to go in MKB at some point in this game, but there should be quite a reasonable window between the MKB pickup and when the Radiance will come out, so it will be useful for that entire time. Meanwhile, Enchantress doesn't have anything queued up, does not dare dream of having items, such as the life of the position 5. Avalanche to protect the regen rune, and just deny it. Sand King has something on Courier. Is it a Blink Dagger? It is a Blink Dagger. Which is, yeah, that's fine, I think, as an item. He'll die on the initiation for certain, however. His team wants to fight. They are reasonably early game. You know, they are a team that is capable of early team fights. He picks up the Blink Dagger and immediately makes a rotation towards the mid lane. Yeah, you know, if you get a power spike, you got to use the power spike. Otherwise, what's the point? If you're not going to use it, why are you buying it? Why are you doing this and that, you know? It's just sort of a waste. Blink, Burrow Strike onto the Invoker, LSA follow up, and he will be brought down. Which is a big pick off to start a fight. Tiny is found, Enchant is up in a second. Will probably... no, LSA. And a Dragon Slave will bring him down. Midas finished up on the Chaos Knight, which means both carries... no, Slark didn't go Midas in the end. He went Echo Saber and is going for the first item, Silver Edge. Which is more in line with sort of what I expected, but I just assume these players know their items better than I do, so I don't question it too much. Especially if it's not a hero I really care about. And I must admit, I don't care for Slark. Hate playing against it. Hate playing it. So, I don't pay too much attention to the iron builds. I just know it wants to buy a Silver Edge generally, so passives hurt. Chaos Knight going for an Armlet after the Midas, which is interesting. He does like the attack speed on the Midas, but going for a sort of early game fighting item afterwards. Slark brought down by a stacking of stuns in the epicenter. Even with the regen from Shadow Dance, epicenter does just so much damage, and it doesn't require targeting, so it still hits through that Shadow Dance. I mean, I think I'm getting slightly better at this. You'd hope so after all the time spent doing it, to be honest, but you know. Starting to follow the action a little better, starting to make up, pretend, just make up reasons why people are doing what they're doing and provide my scrub tier analysis. It's a start, you know. I think it's going alright. It's quite fun, to be fair. Looks like the Radiance will be coming out reasonably soon, as the Sacred Relic is nearly finished up. Force Staff first on the Lina allows you to reposition people who are hit by anything from Bane, allows you to bring people out of the Slark Leash, so quite a nice item, just to prevent your team getting picked off or yourself getting picked off. Enchantress goes Power Treads, which I'm a little surprised at, purely because where I'm from supports by Arcanes or Tranquils, and that is all. Meanwhile, clock. I say clock because I was playing clock earlier and I was thinking about boots. Hooray! My brain is very simple. Tiny does manage to find the Necrophos. Was that before? Yeah, before he bought his Sacred Relic, which will slow that timing down by probably a minute at minimum. No, more than a minute. 2-3 minutes probably. Which is very big, as I don't think the Dire truly want to commit to a fight, even though they do burrow in and find the Bane immediately with a quick Laguna Blade. Epicenter is not cancelled by the Tiny, it almost gets the toss in time. And Slark will be brought down. Split was committed and the fight was still lost, which is a major problem. However, nice, perfectly timed LSA just as the split end follows up with a Burrow Strike. And the Brew goes down as well. That's a big turn for the Dire, who are now rocking a 6k net worth lead. But all this time, Invoker was farming away on the top lane, is now caught up to the Necrophos in net worth. Probably should have switched over faster, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Now, what should I be looking at? There's definitely the Radiant almost certainly want this mid-tier tower next. Mid-tier tower. Jeez, I am definitely not in the right state to be doing this, but you know what? I need some content. No, they want this mid-tier one. They want the mid-tier one for many reasons. I'm going to pretend I know what they are. So, probably because it opens up the Roshan and allows them to make plays around the map and pressure the jungle. They do find the Bane, who is just wasting some time. But now he's dead. They're lacking a big piece of their team fight lockdown. And can look towards taking a fight while Split is still down. It's down for 25 seconds. Would not be surprised to see an enchant come out. Burrow Strike to follow up. No, Tornado manages to catch the Enchantress. EMP down. Burrow Strike to follow up. No mana for the Epicenter, but does have a full stick and a bottle. We'll have it after C sticks. Looks like the Enchantress is still alive. Finally dies. Now the Burrow Strike in doesn't quite connect. Looks like Sand King has blinked himself into a very poor position and will be dying. Shadow Knot's committed, perhaps a bit preemptively, while Split brings the Lina up to prevent the crowd control as the Necrophos gets brought down by a quick Havatos combo. Lina finally brought down, runs away behind the tower, but gets caught by a tornado while the Enchantress gets used up by the Brew Split. And the Enchantress pops a healing, but isn't able to get away. Sunstrike doesn't connect, but it is just a matter of time before she falls. Massive 3k gold swing, halving the lead, and I think I actually caught most of the details of that fight, which is a rarity. Nice little ghost walk, waiting for the Chaos Knight. Meteor comes down. They just eventually sort of Slark just stops hitting him. He's so confident. Maybe they were hoping to give the rampage, but it was just a little too slow after the ultra kill in mid. Good guy Slark, trying to give rampage. You gotta respect it, you know. Necrophos finally has a Sacred Relic and is trying to farm up that recipe so that the Radiance comes out. It'd be a pretty big item, stacking Radiance with Atrophy Aura, Heartstopper Aura. Atrophy is a different hero, and I should know that. I'm tired, boys, I'm tired. Sand King, I don't know. I don't quite see what the players' objectives are in this game. But I know that both teams want the Roshan. That's what I know for certain. And I know that the Radiant have a minor advantage going to Roshan because the Dire have this, which is a 6-second TP, whereas the Radiant have this, which is a not less than 6-second generally TP, unless they all TP at once, in which case it's all over the place, but whatever, it's fine. CK has his armlet completed, which I think is a weird item. It kind of makes sense. It's a good item on CK for sure, but it's a bit odd to go a passive farming item like Midas and then immediately follow it up with an active fighting item like Armlet. However, Phantasm is committed, and the Invoker is reality rifted to his death, whereas the team greeds for a little bit more and they find the Bane, who will certainly be going down, no question about that. And it looks like they will be pressuring Roshan. Hooray, I was right, they don't care about towers, they want Roshan. Roshan is important. Roshan is very important. I just wish when my team's got Aegises, we didn't just either hang on to them and do nothing, or just go and feed, because we have an Aegis. I'm not sure who they'll put this one on. And it looks like the Radiant are coming to contest. There is a Primal Split up and a Shadow Dance. Would not be surprised to see Primal Split is committed. Avatar's combat onto the Enchantress doesn't quite bring her down. Nature's Attendants will start to prod her back up. The Shadow Dance on the Slark looking for the Aegis steal. Will he get it? No. Necrophos manages to pick it up and kill the Slark in the process. Burrow Strike catches the Brewmaster on the way out. LSA actually doesn't catch him because he's reality rifted backwards, but it shouldn't matter. The damage coming out of the CK is quite a lot with these new Phantasms. All in all, the Dire have re-established their 6k lead. And that fight allows them to transition it immediately into a tier 2. Tornado, EMP, Meteor, Deafening Blast, and a Cold Snap. How did he get all of that off so fast? Either way, just atomizes the CK in seconds. What's the cooldown? He has a 1 second cooldown, I guess. Yeah, I guess you could cycle through both while they're in Tornado. But no, it's a lift time of like 3 seconds at this point, so you could drop the Meteor and have it all there. It's just very quick and very smooth, as you'd expect from a top tier Invoker. Where am I putting my camera most of the time? I don't know, I'm just sort of going with the flow, having a chill time. You'll notice that the Aegis went to the Necrophos, not the CK. One of the reasons for this is they're not pressuring high ground, so they don't need to give it to their tower hitter. And the Necro is more likely to, you know, take the fight, as it were, I suppose. CK kind of wants to just jump and blow people up without really risking himself, whereas Necro's always at risk. He's standing in the middle. He's a frontline tanking old man. I don't know, I'm just saying words. Then again, that's pretty much my intention with this series. Just say words. The difference is I need to say the good words, not the bad words. And Thompson finds a free tower behind the Sand King's back, just constantly sieging it down. But it looks like the Radiant might manage to trade out. They have a catapult wave. They have people here. Looks like, yeah, the Necro manages to keep his catapult alive, takes aggro, and this tower is definitely falling. No TPs to defend it. So they do trade towers out, but it looks like they might be trading out Sand King as well. But what is the price of a Sand King? Burrow Strike away, Sunstrike is there, but he manages to tank through it. Brewmaster gets yeeted to find the killer last. So are we about to find out the price of a Sand King? And who manages to barter the better deal? Stun onto the Tiny, but Tornado MP onto the Chaos Knight, and he catches the Necrophos in the backlines as well, and he's brought down immediately. The rest of his team starts to beat a hasty retreat, but the Necrophos is just up in the air, has his radiance completed, has an Aegis, but it looks like it'll be a definite double death. There is a Fiend's Grip on the Bane, might be saving it for the second life. Sleeps the Enchantress. This is a re-engage by Sanking. Fiend's Grip is being saved for the Necrophos on the second life, and it brings him down. Sanking used up, Tornado up, EMP is down, and he will be brought down as a dieback on the Sanking as the Enchantress gets brought down in the back lines at the same time. And Lena died at some point. Tiny things, man. Huge fight. Impressive fight. Just absolute. This Invoker just controlling the whole pace of the game, making sure no one can do anything they want to do. The Brew Split as well, just, you know, it's like that song, You Raise Me Up. But less so I can, I don't know the next line, I don't know, stand on mountains or something. Less that, more so you can't help your team. I'll admit that, I thought that would be a bit smoother in my head. But I think many people have that issue. Invoker now dominating the net worth charts. 18, almost 19k at 30 minutes. Now, I once heard someone say 10k at 20 minutes means you're having a pretty stonking game. This guy's managing double that at 30, which is, in my opinion, pretty nuts. What items does he have now? He has an Octarine finished up, and Yashrin Kaya. I should have been paying more attention. Dude's got dollar. This explains why all his spells came out so often in that last fight. Was wondering about that tornado cooldown. Didn't think. Even with the talent, that seems pretty quick, but the Octarine would explain it. Necro is found, but an LSA stops the Brewmaster. EMP goes down, Tiny blinks forward, Avatos onto the Necro, but the Necro manages to get away, heal up with the Ghost Shroud. CK disarmed in the center of it, wants to find the Invoker. Soon as the disarm ends, it goes on to the Bane, but is tornadoed up. The rest of the team is just being kited around by the Blue Split. Fiend's Grip will stop the Chaos Knight in his grasp. Epicenter goes down, but it's just too late. Reaper's Scythe does not manage to bring anyone down. The Invoker gets away. Dust goes down. Necro trying to kill the Brew with the Impetus. Probably will find it. Enchant goes forward. Lena, Force-staffed, manages to find it. The Invoker finally goes down on the back lines, but the Tiny is there to kill the Sand King in retaliation. Apparently that was a good fight for the Dire. It was very hard to tell, it was very messy, and there was a buyback on the Enchantress and the Tiny, in fact. Slark now looking towards his BKB. Feels like there's just too much going on in these fights. Let's make it real simple. That's what I personally like about BKB. It's a great simplifier. You pop it at the right time, it's a lot easier. You don't have to think so much. And in a hectic team fight, for someone who's small brain like myself, having to think less tends to mean I play better. After all, Dota is a thinking person's game. And I ain't too good at thinking. Sure, it's a bit of a curse that I like it so much, to be fair, as a result of that. But no matter. No, it's not like I'm making any long-term poor decisions, like trying to become a caster or anything like that. You know, that would just be unrealistic. Unrealistic expectations. Meanwhile, the CK has decided to ult to farm the mid-wave. Feels like playing a bit of Terrorblade. But boy, those illusions, they hit hard. They clear waves fast. Slark struggling to really deal with them. Actually bring him down to half before his team steps in to actually help deal with him. I am surprised. I didn't realise. What's the damage numbers on them? Oh, they do full damage. That is actually insane. I was unaware of that. I haven't seen a Chaos Knight in a very long time. No one really plays this hero. I will say, the one thing I've always seen, every time I watch these sort of high level games, the losing team, and even though they have a net worth advantage, the Dire feels like the losing team at this point. They always had managed to pressure at least one lane, and every time I've seen it, it's been the bottom lane. I don't know if there's a specific reason for that. I think it is the dead lane for the Radiant. So it is the easiest to pressure for the Dire, and I think every time I've seen it, it's been on Dire. But also, it's the lane furthest from Roshan, so if you want to try actually contest the Rosh, you have to send someone back if you're the Radiant to push the wave out, which allows for a 4-on-5 fight, which is really what you want. Speaking of contesting the Roshan, they don't seem to be. They have decided not to do it. It seems. They're just a bit out of position, they've been outmaneuvered, and the Roche is falling too fast for them to actually haul ass and get over there in time. I'm sure it'll be going on the slog. It's not going on the slog. It is going on the slog. Thought I was wrong for a second about something so simple. Then again, I could certainly see it going on the Invoker. He's more likely to get focused and blown up, and so he does contribute a hell of a lot to the team fight. But Slark is the tower hitter, and you want an Aegis on the tower hitter so that where they can go high ground with less fear. Sand King tries to blink forward, but is caught by the tornado, and is just brought down very quickly by the Slark. CK pops Phantasm, jumps Tiny in the back, but the Cataclysm brings the Enchantress down. Laguna will finish off Doom. Necro will try and escape, but is stunned up and will be very quickly brought down, whereas leaving CK against the world. Buyback on the Lina comes to nothing. What's a buyback? I'm not going crazy. No, you didn't die. Yeah. I'm a silly one. No, Lina just has to run away. What a tornado. My god. That went a very long way. And absolutely ruined Lina's day. I don't think it truly changed anything in the grand scheme of things, because I don't think Lina can really stop any of this happening. Yes, she can push the wave, but the pipe means she can't do anything. But the epicenter breaks the Aegis on the Slark. But I think Sand King may pay for it with his life, but a quick 4-staff out might just keep him alive. I'll say to make space for the Invoker. It's not terrible. Sure, they lose Rax, but they do manage to break the Aegis, which is, it's meager compensation, but I'd take it if I was the Dire. I'm feeling pretty bleak if I'm Dire. Another blink forward and a burst strike in. This is a very gung-ho Sand King. Lina is slapped, Sand King is immediately brought down. Enchantress has nothing still, so doesn't really actually do anything in the fights. Invoker gets the double tornado, followed up by the EMP. Slark catches, breaks the passive, and just deletes Enchantress. Very, very hard game to play as a position 5 here. Not hugely fun when the opposing carry just naturally ignores your singular method of survival. It even carries his. I swear I saw him carrying dust at some point, but I guess I'm wrong. Either way, invis means nothing. There's a gem. Splits committed. I imagine BKB is down before he can be lifted, but somewhat Lina is lifted in his place. Necro has to be forced to try and escape. Quick armlet toggling from the CK to try and keep him alive. But I do believe this game is rather over at this point. I don't see much chance of a comeback, as the Radiant are just going to clean up top racks, and then I don't know, maybe push to win the game. They can't really go bottom, there's still 2 towers. Lena looks like she's dead. Tornado EMP. Then Sunstrike, she does just barely escape on very low HP. Necro almost dies as well, but manages to sort of shuffle away at no move speed. 4 staff still on cooldown. Looks like Enchantress will be brought down as soon as this falls. Mistimes Sunstrike doesn't even matter. Reaper Scythe does manage to find the Brewmaster, but he has no ult, he has buyback, it doesn't really matter. Attempts to chain CC don't quite land, and they will smoke out of the base, perhaps looking for a quick re-engagement. Sand King just very wants to fight when perhaps he shouldn't be, given his track record. Nina manages to stay alive by the skin of her teeth once again, which is very impressive. And now, I mean, I don't think they need to wait for the next rush. I think they merely need just make sure they have Shadow Dance and Primal off cooldown. They can take these towers pretty much without any kind of... No one's going to contest them. They can't. The game is over. Unless something very magical happens. Yeah, no defense mounted by the Dire. There's no way to save this tier 2. And as soon as they have it, they suddenly have a much better way of fighting into the game. That would have been a very big pick-off. Denying the primal split from the team fight would have been huge. And yet another blink burrow strike forward from the Sand King. He's gripped. Gripped so fast the tornado misses, but the Sunstrike doesn't, and he dies again. He seems like he's just feeding this game. Slark is stunned up by a nice save, manages to purge it off. The Chaos Knight is just wailing and wailing and wailing on things, but it amounts to nothing. The BKB is down, Sunstrike is there, and he is just gone without buyback. Meteor onto the Lena, dead. With buyback, commits to the buyback, probably dies again. Let's see. Quick Reaper Scythe actually does manage to bring the Invoker down despite the attempted Nightmare save from the Bane. The Shiva's getting the kill there, but the instant buyback from the Invoker. Does he have travels? Yeah, he does. I mean, it's an admirable effort to try and stall this game out, but they will be acquiring Megas. Nothing can be done to stop, and I don't think this team has any hope of defending against Megas. And they just move on to tier 4s. Sand King will be up in a few seconds, but what is a Sand King going to do? They already have a pipe. They already have it. I wonder if the Sand King is just going to blink forward at Sandstorm and Burrow Strike and then it'd be killed again. I'm a bit flamey today, aren't I? Turns out he Burrow Striked and then Sandstormed. Fiend's Grip in the Fountain. Necrophos dies. Game is over. I really thought the Dire had that one in the bag, as it were, but just insane team fight from the Radiant over and over and over and over again wins in the game. Hello and welcome to yet another Dota 2 replay. Hello and welcome to yet another Dota 2 replay. Hello and welcome.